Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, we're live on a Monday at 11:39 a.m., April 19th, and my face is the color of my shirt. Big Daddy got out of the house a little bit this weekend, took a little time off. Obviously, the markets were crazy yesterday and today, and well, this weekend in general. And we're dealing with the aftermath of systemic volatility. It's the premise for really why I started this channel, the middle of last year, give or take, is that we can only prepare for downside action when the markets are red hot. Because by the time the markets are not, um, you can make adjustments. I myself am making adjustments today, taking risk off the table. But you really cannot systemically or significantly change and restructure your portfolio. But by the time assets find bottom is often when people get out of positions, and that's really buy the top, sell the bottom type of portfolio management. You can make adjustments, and you make adjustments, and you're probably going to take a loss and trim on the upside bounce. But this is where risk management encourages you and somewhat forces you to start thinking about that. How much risk do you have on the table? Are you exposed to too many assets? And that was my strategy today. Full Bitcoin position maintained, vast majority of Ethereum position maintained. I exited two, three assets completely, and that's okay. And let those assets bounce, and that's the rationale that I have in my mind at the moment. They'll probably bounce and they'll probably continue to outperform. But I don't need that kind of exposure to the portfolio when I could make serious gains on dollars. I was taking on too much risk, and I probably could have weathered the depreciative uh, process of that was unexpected. It was an event, a liquidity event, and I could have weathered it much better. And there's no significant losses in the portfolio, nothing that I was unprepared for. But there's always we could have done better. And times like these remind me I don't and I can't own the assets I want to own, and that's okay. You'll sit back and you'll watch Aave become one of the world's largest banks and go 100x on the money, and it's okay. It's okay not to own assets. There's potential to be made all over the place. You don't have to become the richest person in the world. But if you could turn 10 grand into a half a million, you change your life forever. And if you could turn that half a million into $200,000 a year income, now you're really changing your life forever. And then what you do for when you have that kind of position is you take in small bets. 0.1%, 0.5%, 1% of the portfolio. 1% of the portfolio turns into 10% of the portfolio, and it changes everything. And that's a 10x on the money. A 10x on the money on the 500,000, you turn into 5 mil, but that's the crazy way to handle a portfolio. No, if you have a half a mil and you take $5,000 and you turn $5,000 into $50,000, you've changed your life. And it compounds because now you know a process. You know a process how to maintain the vast majority of your portfolio in a risk considerate fashion. And you're taking small strategic concentrated bets with small parts of the portfolio in an effort to asymmetrically appreciate or asymmetrically grow the entirety of the portfolio. There's always an opportunity. There's always something new. There's always something hot. The stuff that you expect to go up the most really should be the smallest parts of the portfolio. The vast majority of the portfolio, the core of the portfolio, you want to be volatility considerate and manage your risk. Today's episode is sponsored by Change Angel, the non-custodial swap exchange for social goods. Stop depositing on exchanges, not your keys, not your crypto, non-custodial DeFi, or nothing at all. Bam! Let's pop it over to the main screen and see who's in the stream. Got James in the house, always a pleasure. Jane, nice. Yes. No, it's not falling. It is what it is. But, a lot of people are probably better prepared than worse, especially folks that listen to myself. I could have been better prepared, but that's okay. And in the end, if you put too much risk on the table and you just lost half your money, now you know you have to do better. I myself probably down about 10, 15% in the overall portfolio. Yeah, it's okay. I've seen these types of numbers before. And what I did was I took additional risk off the table today. And I have to remind myself when the market is blazing hot that I shouldn't be putting too much risk on the table. And that's how you better prepare for market action like today. The great Datsby Monday, Noah Vibes in the house. Shout out to Crypto Yogi too. Oh yeah. Carlos, Noah keeping my portfolio safe. I'm trying my best. Jay Nice Mint, April sale. Yeah, it's a sale. Listen, folks are selling because they want dollars. The world runs on dollars. That's just the way it is. But the thing is, dollars are now a lucrative source of income, which is fascinating. You know, we talk shit about the dollars. We understand what it is, but the world operates on them. So we really obviously want to accumulate them. People denominate their Bitcoin in dollars all over the place. Oh, it's going to breach 60. It's going to breach 250. They're talking about it in dollars. So there's no getting around the dollar reality. There's just risk management to attempt to increase the value of the portfolio, dollar denominated, as much as possible. Risk adjusted returns, boys and girls. Lewis says the price of Bitcoin and other major cryptocurrencies dropped by 5 to 6% Sunday, resulting in a massive futures liquidation. Yeah, that was crazy sauce. But what happened was dead cat bounce. So trend violation, 50 SMA breach to the downside, and resistance. So this is a support flip resistance type situation. Stoker's oversold, but that doesn't really mean much. It means something, but doesn't mean much. RSI is doing a nice pullback on the daily, so it looks like this thing could finally find the bottom somewhere. Should find the bottom somewhere. And this is obviously the chart I like to look at is the M1 denomination. Um, you know, look how high this could easily turn into a variety of different chart patterns and macro and systemic economic factors at play for what drive the price. The equities markets are down today. The equities markets could experience a significant retracement because of factors completely unrelated to the crypto space, but because the equities markets bleed, the crypto space is going to bleed. Sentiment, emotions propagate. They're viral. That's just the way it works. Syrup, what if you take those kinds of bets on 50% of your portfolio? That's how you get devastated. That's how you lose all your money more often than less. And that's the whole expression and the whole reason I started this channel. If you're betting the bank on a $20 million crypto asset market cap, the vast majority of people are going to lose their money. We're talking about odds. I'm not saying someone is going to lose their money. I'm not saying you're going to lose your money, but I'm saying on average, the vast majority of persons don't win. The vast majority of people lose their risk on bets. Robert Milner, you deserve that line so well. Thank you, sir. Rupert, hey, what curve percent do you lock? So I'm under allocated dollars relative to my portfolio ideology. So I readjusted the portfolio on this downswing, and that's okay. I'm probably about 18% dollars, almost 20% dollars as of right now. Before the downswing, it was about 13%, so I bumped it about 5%. I'm still low. I probably would feel more comfortable, probably 20, 25%. Um, and that's just comfort. You have to find what you're comfortable with. In the end, we have to sleep at night. And are you really going to sleep at night betting a huge amount of capital on something that has the potential to get devastated 50, 60, 70%? A max volatility risk on asset, a micro cap? It's not worth it. You need to be able to sleep at night. Not your keys, not your crypto. That's the name of the game. Montana, subscribe to Noah's office hours. Looking forward to it. I try my best to provide as much hours as possible. I have other responsibilities, but I click on as much as I can. I hope everyone could get through, and I hope I could help the best I can. Um, there's no such thing as a guarantee. There's no such thing as a perfect portfolio. They're works of art. They're malleable. They're infinitely customizable, and there's always new opportunities that are changing parameters. But what's important um, is the dialogue and the conversation. Uh, what I know is that this stream and office hours helps people converse and talk about the very thoughts that are on their mind. And the more you talk about them and understand them, the better decisions you'll be able to make. It's not about making the best decisions, but it's at least having a capacity to talk about the decision making process so you could rationalize and use logic and reason to make choices. And that's how you achieve optimal portfolio management by engaging in the dialogue, whether it's with yourself or someone else. Zatar says, Noah, is a goal to create 200K annual income. Can you give us all some of your favorite low risk revenue generating plays? Yeah, dollars, 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 dollars. You get 30, 40, 50% on dollars between curve and compound. It's not going to last forever. As the liquidity floods the space, those incentivized emissions are going to get diluted. But there's a lot of thoughts in my mind how this entire system is going to evolve. DeFi is not just Ethereum, it's not just BSC. Matic isn't even off the ground yet. Polygon has the potential to be an entire new BSC cycle. And then there's Polkadot, Cosmos, and a whole list of other assets. Flare at the end of the year. So manifestation of digital fiat has just begun, in my opinion. Opportunities are going to be bountiful and in plethora. Pellets is in the house. Howdy, howdy. Rupert, top man, thanks. Just got to circa 10% of the portfolio to curve and then trying to figure out how much to lock a V curve in the 4 year. Yeah, you go to the Dow. Go to the Dow, DAO. And there's a calc button at the top. So you hit calc. And it'll tell you here, well, at the bottom, you select the gauge you want, and here, max deposit per VE curve to have max boost. It'll tell you how much, and then you can put in your VE curve, like 10,000, and it'll tell you how much dollars you could put in or pool constituents you could put in to achieve maximum boost. The calc option, my friend. But appreciate your feedback. Always a pleasure. Pellets, have you seen the Keep It Out K compound implementation? I have not. Keep it down. Incredible. Risk on asset. I'm sure the volatility is through the roof. I haven't looked at it. I haven't been in it. I was able to capitalize on it from $65 to $800. It was a remarkable observation of a fundamental necessity for the DeFi space. There's no deflationary pressures on the asset. It has a decaying emission schedule, decaying inflationary emissions, which is inflationary, and there's no deflationary component. It's going to be increasingly volatile as an increasing quantity of assets begin or exist in the circulating supply. Um, Follow the monetary velocity, follow the monetary properties, look at these assets as fiat currencies, and then you'll be able to understand which will be the value stable or hopefully the value appreciative assets. It's a great article that was posted yesterday on the Twitter stream about token velocity and stuff of that nature, which is exactly what I talk about. I compare these assets to fiat currencies, and what is a currency? What really is a currency but inflation, deflation, velocity, lending, borrowing, collateralization, so on and so forth. That's exactly what it is. Quite eye-opening when you look at it from a property standpoint and how comparable they are. Um, Wave, I'm exhausted at the moment. I was almost ready to cancel the stream. I'm okay though. Thank you. And burnt for that matter. Flare should be at the end of June, plus or minus a couple weeks. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It doesn't mean anything for a particular asset. What it does is facilitate the collateralization or the equity assets, the capacity to access equity of stagnant UTXO equity. The vast majority of UTXOs are completely stagnant with regard to monetary velocity. XRP is completely stagnant, but there's billions of dollars worth of equity that can be accessed to facilitate collateralization, uh, hopefully over collateralized and not under collateralized debt positions, but basically interacting with within the DeFi space. Got all that value stored in the asset. There's absolutely nothing. And it's the same thing with a lot of assets. Hopefully they get Cardano in there. It has stagnant equity. I mean, the list goes on with assets that have zero monetary velocity and stagnant equity. Follow the monetary velocity, and you'll find the assets that are going to uh, ultimately draw in an extreme amount of liquidity because of potential lucrative financial opportunity. That's the bottom line. And it is a good play, in your opinion, to buy some Curve now and wait to make enough money to deposit dollars and lock it? Curve is a ridiculous opportunity unto itself, because you're betting on the future of Curve and its capacity to facilitate, um, basically crypto-centric forex transactions, stablecoin swaps. There's a lot of unknowns that are playing out with regard to Uni v3. I think Curve has entrenched itself, and there's quite a great deal of meaning to network effect. And it's very rare that ongoing disruptions are themselves disrupted, as we've discussed extensively in the past. So Curve's not going anywhere. Its market share might change, and I think in years, the volume through the platform will be multiples. So Curve unto itself, locked as VE Curve, is a lucrative position, particularly because you're getting 0.02% of all transaction fees on the platform shared as a weekly admin fee. So you're getting paid just the whole Curve. I hold about 50,000 Curve, which is generating about 8% return, which is nice. If Curve was doing $20 billion a day in transactions, it's more than nice. It's pretty much retirement. um, and I mean, I bought my Curve at 25 cents, so that 50,000 Curve was bought for $12,500. And now it's $3. It was up at $4, so it's hard to get entries. I don't have any advice with regard to getting entries. I am not too much of a fan of looking at technicals to find a bottom. I might find it much more enjoyable to contemplate the macro narratives and play crypto-centric macro narratives in this instance, with the dynamics of the system with regard to platforms that facilitate monetary velocity. Aave jumping on Polygon, it's going to drive a shitload of liquidity, and that's exactly what happened. And that's going to drive the developers. And then the incentivized pools, the incentivized positions facilitated by monetary policy and create the respective platforms' digital fiat, that's going to really light monetary velocity on fire. So I look at the fundamentals, and that's how I allocate capital. So Tara, let's say you are currently providing liquidity to XTK Advisor Uni V3 Launch 5.5. What might happen, worst case, to your yields? Well, bear in mind, XTK and Visor are extremely volatile assets. They're the maximum of risk on. Visor doesn't have is missing a lot of key components. I myself am excited for its potential. It's a microscopic asset that could easily get cut in half at a drop's notice, lose 50, 60, 70% of your money. XDK is a more mature platform that deals with ERC20s, whereas Visor, Method, and Alchemist are talking about the new NFTs, was it 721s from the Uni V3 platform. So if you're playing those assets, you're talking very speculative assets. You're not talking about crypto macro assets, Ethereum and Bitcoin. You're talking about stuff that could get cut in half, 50%, and you're like, all right, that's what happened, and it's not unexpected. Um, who knows what will happen? I do not know what will happen. Sitar. So that's where your position sizing and risk management interests come into the picture. There's maximum risk. You have no idea what's going to happen. No idea. But if 5%, 3%, whatever the heck you think is justifiable as a position size, doubles, triples, 10x, changes everything. Hey Noah, do you have any opinion on Badger and Alpha? Alpha is one of the coolest platforms. They're going to evolve, and I'm sure Uni V3 is going to play a significant part in encouraging them to evolve in different directions. But Alpha is really cool. Leveraged LP positions, I like it. Badger is an L2, level 2 DeFi protocol, as I often describe. It has no monetary velocity whatsoever, but it has a monetary policy because Badger doesn't facilitate transactions, so there's no transaction fee revenue. But it's a fiat currency. It has inflation, deflationary pressures, and so that's cool. It's a monetary. So that's the bottom line. It has monetary policy, so there's meaning in that regard. I much prefer assets that actually have like transaction fee sharing, which really is a significant contributor to financial infrastructure in the DeFi space. We should be able to start gaining yield of FLR at that point. Oh yeah, well, it's so speculative. We have no idea what kind of DeFi platforms are going to launch. It's we have is at the point where it's not even worth speculating on. But I would never own it at this place. All there is future contracts, and you wait for the asset, and it's going to get cut in half. That's the way buy the rumor, sell the news. That's what always happens with future contracts. So you wait for the asset to stabilize, get a sense of the monetary policy going on in the space, the extent of DeFi development, and you do the exact same thing we're currently doing. I have no interest in getting bottoms. I don't buy risk on assets. I don't buy 10, 20, $30 million market cap assets. The only reason I played a bit into Visa, Method, and XDK and Alchemist is because there's a narrative forming for a month and a half. Uh, there's a timeline. There's literally a timeline applied to the speculative play. If the timeline isn't fulfilled, I'm just going to exit the positions. I hold no allegiance to a particular asset. Hold your allegiance to your portfolio. If you're taking on excessive risk, you might have assets you love. They don't belong in your portfolio. Don't take excessive risk. You have a lot of capital that you've made over the last couple of months, year and a half, depending how long you've been in it. Preserve your capital, grow your capital. Crypto is not easy money. If you treat crypto like easy money, it's how things don't work out well. Any thoughts on Rary Capital Stable Pool? Yeah, Rary's cool. I don't play it. I like the DeFi majors. I like Curve. I like Yearn. I like Aave. All my liquidated capital that I did this morning, I threw it into Aave. What did I do? I threw some capital. I liquidated about 134, threw that into Aave. It's just sitting there, 6.10%. I don't mind. I just wait. Let the market tell me what it's doing, and the odds are I'll probably deploy that to a stable position. I don't really feel the need to take on risk unless I already have enough risk on. It's not worth the risk. Those smart vault projects are blowing my mind. Uniswap is just the beginning. The vaults allow you to transfer your NFT wallet stake tokens to another address. It's more than that. It's a lot more than that. People are going to be shocked when Uni V3 launches, and they have no capacity to sell half their position, 10%. They can't. They can only sell all or nothing, and they're going to find out they put Ethereum and an asset in an LP position, and they're getting no interest. Yeah. So people are going to be like, folks that don't understand the word fungible, that didn't look over um, the launch documentation. Um, you need manager. You need to manage your NFT. And if either someone's going to do that individually, which is going to be a relatively sophisticated process, not a passive process, it's going to be those types of positions that those types of projects that facilitate NFT LP position management. They're going to be gaining a lot of attention, and that's speculative play there. Brian says, I love Uni, Wi-Fi, and Curve, but the trend of single whale to minority whale governance votes overpowering the majority is concerning. First Uniswap and Curve, now PancakeSwap. Well, PancakeSwap's completely off my radar. Zero interest whatsoever. Uni is an asset I don't own. I had it yesterday. I was talking about it, and I was talking about the opportunity cost of holding it. And frankly, it's more lucrative to hold dollars than it is to hold Uni. That's just the bottom line. Wi-Fi as well has the potential to experience significant asymmetric appreciation. I could get 5% on it on Yearn. I'd rather get 30, 40, 50% on dollars. Curve fits into how you can get 30, 40, 50% on dollars by participating in the Curve monetary system. So there's quite a rational argument to be had about a decent size Curve position. But this trend, low Bitcoin and Ether holder, Balancer, good solution. Balancer is a wonderful AMM. Um, I think they all have systemic significance. Obviously, Bancor has ridiculous monetary policy that's novel in all regards with a very strong deflationary pressure. Curve is arguably one of the best monetary policies in the crypto space. Some of the strongest holders locking their Curve for 4 years. There's some serious tech going on, boys and girls. But it's not for me to say what a good solution is, but I can say it's good tech. It's wonderful tech, and I think there's going to be a great future for the protocol. Delegating to FTSO votes with your FOR will be a yield generator. I don't care about the price early, just stacking FLR while the rewards are high early on. Yeah, well, there is no price. The asset doesn't exist. So that's play the market as it is. If you play the market as it may be, you're playing potential, which means you're taking on excessive risk. When the asset gets launched and starts to get capital starts to flow and assets start to get collateralized, and we see the smart contract development and we see the liquidity available and the monetary velocity emerge, sure, then it's a great platform. I say the same thing about Cardano. Let them launch smart contracts. Let's see some damn monetary velocity in an actual functional financial system. Boom! Opportunity emerges. I have no interest in speculating on the emergence of a platform. That's exactly why Matic catches my eye with Aave. That's not speculation. It has $650 million in capitalization and liquidity that's available for DeFi protocols to draw on. That's crazy. Noah, do you still use Bancor pools for yield? Notice how Renpool lost its liquidity mining reward. Yeah, it did. I have plenty in Bancor. Bancor is just basically free cash. I mean, this thing just grows. So I like Bancor. I love Bancor. I could speak a lot towards Bancor. I'd love to be sponsored by Bancor, and I'm more than happy to talk about them because it's a wonderful part of a portfolio that's extremely risk considerate. Their monetary policy is downright fascinating, and I think it overwhelmingly has longevity and systemic importance to the DeFi financial system. It's very obvious to me. Since you're talking about XTK method, why are the yields between the two so vastly different? Well, they're very different protocols. XTK has a long history, or at least a significantly longer history. They're dealing with ERC20s. There's much more liquidity deposited properly, the different tokenomics. Method is a fork of Alchemist. We have no idea what's going to play out with it. Anyone allocating a large portion of their portfolio to Method or Visor are taking extreme risk. Now, risk can play out, may not. We know some pretty interesting facts that the developer who wrote Alchemist is the same person who pretty much wrote Geyser V2 contracts for Ampleforth, and that's quite meaningful. I think Alchemist has a great deal of potential, has a much larger market cap, around 100 mil, based on EtherScan. And Visor and Method are forks of Alchemist, so that means who's the developer? They're anonymous. We don't know. Um, speculatively interesting to the point where I took relatively decent sized positions and I'm up like 400% on Visor, but they're unrealized gains. They're not liquidated. So, very speculative. Just watch your risk. 1, 2, 3% of your portfolio is a large position for a risk on play. Um, since you're talking about XKK, I handed that pellets XTK to $5 on 5.5. Well, that's quite a you know exuberant statement. That'd be nice. So I pulled out of all my XTK positions. I had a relatively large XTK pair. I had XInch at one point, XKNC, XAVE, and these were cranking out significant yield to the point where I'm completely out of all positions, and I have 28,000 escrowed XTK. So I've managed my risk. This was all interest earned capital, and now I just let it sit, and that plays out the way it's going to play out. I'm very satisfied with that being the remainder of the position I have. Very happy to hold it as well. It pulls a 10x. Yay, love it. Have you checked out BDPI on BasketDAO? Could be exposed to Uni in the index. Yeah, not that interested. I'm not interested in really index funds. I much prefer being able to take control of the assets myself. I have a capacity to navigate these platforms to a great extent and capitalize on them without broad, uncontrolled exposure. Uh, Wonka with the heart, thank you very much. JD says, "What's up? 50 people in the stream, 25 likes. We can do better." We're going to wrap it up in a couple of minutes, 12:08 p.m. Keep an eye on the volatility of the markets. Equities markets are pretty uh, red at the moment. And, just this day and age with the way equities markets are in the global financial system, markets are hot one day, red another day, and crypto markets are extremely volatile. So red another day means a significant depreciative event, which is exactly what happened. So keep an eye on your risk. You know, there's a significant opportunity cost with literally holding a lot of crypto assets because dollars are so damn lucrative. You're missing out on significant gains if you're not holding dollars. Um, you could literally, if you got a half a mil, you could easily make 200 grand a year. And what's the point of working if you're making 200 grand a year? So then your goal is really just to maintain your source of revenue. And there'll be different protocols and different projects that emerge that'll be able to give you different quantities of revenue, return on investment, dollar denominated, and you don't have to take on the excessive risk of holding, potentially asymmetrically appreciating or depreciating assets. I don't necessarily want that much volatility. All things considered, is exactly why I talk about the topics I do. I'm probably taking on too much risk at this point. Complexity is I can't liquidate a bunch of positions. I can't liquidate Ren. They're dark nodes. They just sit. They do what they do. I watched that thing go up to a buck 70. Now it's down at 86 cents. Whatever happens, happens. Sometimes you just got to let stuff sit. But grow your dollar position, and because it's extremely lucrative and it's risk considerate, and don't take on excessive risk. Protect your gains. You worked hard for your capital, and it's not worth it. Missing out on gains is not the same as losing money. Always remember that. Thank you all for joining me. 12:10 p.m. Monday, April 19th. 47 people in the stream, 28 likes. We can do better. Please tell everyone to subscribe. Noah's office hours will be available as best I can. And keep the window open. If you really want to talk to me, keep the window open. And when I go online, it literally automatically updates that says I'm now online. So it's literally like a Noah monitor, a Noah ankle bracelet of sorts. Anyway, enjoy your day. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.